Today we're going to talk about a policy that has cost the United States taxpayer $20 billion. That's more money than we spent on early education, more money than we spent on health care, and more money that's been allocated to NASA, who puts people on the moon. $20 billion. Now let me tell you, that $20 billion policy doesn't work. Sounds crazy, right? That's exactly what the United States government has spent on the prohibition of marijuana in this country. What I'm proposing today is that marijuana prohibition is no longer justified, and it should be taxed and legalized. We're going to break this down a few ways. First, we're going to talk about the cost of prohibition versus the profit in actually legalizing it. Second, we're going to talk about the cost to families, individuals, and society as a whole. Then we're going to talk about how this policy doesn't work. And finally, what I propose to do about it, which is to legalize it, regulate it, and tax it. So let's rewind a little bit, and first let's talk about the prohibition cost versus the profit in legalizing marijuana. $7.7 billion. $7.7 billion is what we'll save in enforcement alone. That's according to the Micron report. And that's by Jeffrey Micron, who's a Harvard University economics professor. $7.7 billion. Now, we want to see the numbers get really crazy. Let's talk about incarceration. According to an Urban Institute Justice Policy Center report, if we take the number of prisoners that are housed for misdemeanor marijuana offenses, the average prisoner gets 36.8 months in prison. 36.8 months. Now, the cost to feed them, house them, provide them medical and mental needs is $21,006. Now, if we look over a period of, let's say, 30 years, the cost to the taxpayer is $30 billion. $30 billion for misdemeanor marijuana offenses to incarcerate these people in our country. In New York City alone, the NYPD estimates they spend 1 million man-hours enforcing misdemeanor marijuana laws. 1 million man-hours that could be used and allocated to other public safety needs. Now we're going to talk about the cost to families, individuals, and society. According to the Scholar Strategy Network, people that are arrested for marijuana, the cost is very high to them. Not only do they pay court costs, fines, and lawyers, but it also prevents potential growth income. A lot of these people, once you have a misdemeanor marijuana possession on your criminal record, it will prevent you from a higher paying job. It will prevent you from certain jobs altogether. You could be well trained, well qualified, and have a great education, but not be able to take a certain job because of this marijuana conviction. That also hurts us as a society, to have qualified people out of the workplace. And while we're talking about the society, let's talk about incarceration. According to Frontline.org, 1 out of every 6 prisoners is in prison for a marijuana-related offense. In this day and age, where people and prisoners are being released because of overcrowding, that we are allowing murderers to be paroled out of prison after serving only 6 to 10 years, it seems absurd that we're taking up space with marijuana-related offense in our prisoners. I know for one, I would much rather have a murderer, a sex offender, or a robber locked up in prison versus them being paroled because we have to make room for marijuana offenses. Now let's talk about how this policy just plain doesn't work. Prohibition can't and won't make the market for marijuana go away. The Marijuana Project says over 15 million Americans have tried marijuana or are using marijuana. And 85.6% of high school students say marijuana is easy to get. And those numbers have not changed in 30 years. So the entire time, since the time that we've started enforcing the prohibition of marijuana, those numbers have not changed, even with the $20 billion. According to Catherine Becker of the University of Washington, She states not only have prices of marijuana went down, the potency has went up, and it's more easily accessible, arrests have also gone up. So what does that say? You can get it easier, you can get more of it, you can get better marijuana, even though we're arresting more people. It's just not working. What we've done is taken marijuana and put it into the hands of gang members and unregulated drug cartels in this country who will sell it, and they will sell to anybody in any place because they don't care. What I propose to do about it is to legalize it and tax it. $2.4 to $6.2 billion a year could be generated in profit alone with the legalization of marijuana if it were taxed like alcohol and tobacco. And that's according to an economics professor, Jeffrey Micron. By regulating it, we would gain more control over it, who would have access to it, and it would save us billions of dollars by treating this as a health care issue and not a criminal issue. At the minimum, we should change the statutes in this country to make marijuana offenses a ticketable offense. That would be in relation to like receiving a speeding ticket. Now finally, in summary, I know some people are going to tell me, hold on, marijuana is a drug. So I want to put this in perspective for everybody. Out of the 6 following substances, nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, heroin, cocaine, and marijuana, can you guess which one is the least addictive? That's right, it's marijuana. And the crazy part is that marijuana is less addictive than tobacco, alcohol, and nicotine, which are all legal in this country. In conclusion, the cost of marijuana prohibition is too high. It's too high to the people that are being caught with this. It's too high to the American taxpayer dollars. And plainly, the policy doesn't work. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope you will consider some of the things that we talked about today.